May I come in, sir?
Yes, please.
Assalamu alaikum.
You are Taj Raisani?
Sir, Raosen Taj Raisani.
Raosen
Ji, sir.
Taj Raisani. Okay, when is the D-Day?
Sir, tentatively last of December.
Okay, you have got time then.
Yes, sir.
Okay, it is good. Introduce yourself to all of us.
My name is Raosen Taj Raisani. I belong from Sibi in Balochistan. I have got my education from my native province until the Bachelor's of Arts in Economics. And my latest degree has been Master's in Defense and Strategic Studies from Qaid University, Islamabad. Afterwards, I did a junior fellowship at Lahore University of Management Sciences. It was a joint partnership with the United States Institute of Peace. And afterwards, I cleared my Provincial Civil Service examination in 2019, and I am currently serving as Section Officer to the Government of Balochistan. About my hobbies, I have written, and as well as I indulge in reading novels and short stories from time to time. And I have also written op-eds in Express Tribune, and I am also fond of writing my views on political and global issues, as well as the prevalent conditions and challenges in the province of Balochistan. That's all from my side.
You come from Sibi.
Yes, sir.
Can you introduce this district of Sibi to all of us? What is this district?
Sir.
What is the population area? Something like that.
So Sibi is basically, it has a very, eventful past, and it is one of the oldest districts of Balochistan. It was given the status of district in 1899, I think, when the English Britishers were there. And as a district, it comprises of two subdivisions. One is Sangan and one is Kot Mandai. And it basically is a plain in the overall hilly region of Balochistan, because it is to the west of Quetta, and it descends down into the plains of Sindh. It has also a very hot climate. It is one of the hottest regions on the planet. The district overall comprises of different ethnic groups. It has a predominantly Baloch population, but the historical presence has been of the Pashtuns, especially of the Panni tribes. There are 9 tribes which originate from the Afghan people there, whose the leader of the tribes is Barozai, and he is also the Tijore Sardar of Sibi district. So overall, the flora fauna includes the usual these plain type shrubs and dwarf palms. The population I do not remember correctly right now, because the census has been done recently, but it had a population of, if I can guess, around about 200,000 or around about it.
So this falls, how many districts are in the province of Balochistan?
Sir, currently there are 34 districts.
34 districts.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Raisani, you tell me, there's political crisis in Balochistan government.
So
the government of the chief minister has already has fallen.
So,
and what is your analysis of that whole political crisis?
so if I may, the reasons for governments in Balochistan falling, and when they form and when they fall, there are various reasons for that. One is the culture of personality, the dominance of personality, because it is a tribal society, and we are still, having a crisis of these kind of urbanization and tribal setup. They go hand in hand. So this kind of personality-oriented politics, this is one of the major reasons that there has never been a stable government or a political system over there. The recent crisis also involves such type of, dominance of personalities and all that. Jam Kamal Sahib, he is a very, he comes from an ancestry which involves rulers and the feudal lordship over there. So he had a dominant kind of personality, and all other the MPs and the political leaders, they believed that such a dominant personality is not the the what is the word, the reason d'etre of a state or the government. You have to have a dominant, you have to have a consensus based issue solving government. So one of the reasons was this dominant personality trait that Jam Kamal Sahib portrayed. Another is this ambition of different political parties and leaders over there. They have what we can say the interest based politics. They do not revolve around the issues or the challenges that the province faces, but revolve around the kind of interests that they have. So basically the fall of this government has been due to these two major factors. Apart from that, there exist structural causes: poverty, development issues, the policing, unstable security conditions. All these factors add into the unpopularity of any regime or any government that is formed over there. So in my opinion, this has been due to these factors, and it will go on and on until there is a structural kind of thing that happens over there.
I was reading today that the establishment has tried to save the government, but democracy has won. What is your opinion?
Sir, basically the party has won. We cannot say that democracy, but the party has certainly won because the party was against one man. So if viewed in this context, we can say that the democracy of the party has won.
BAP, Balochistan Awami Party.
Awami Party.
They were created, I think, 3 years back.
So because it all revolves around these personalities, these electables. So basically people came together and they made the party. Party is just a sobriquet. They have to pursue all their interests and these political agendas that they have. So I think, sir, it was created by these interests, not by the establishment.
Okay, you have done your defense and strategic studies.
So
I think you are also influencing other people to go for this degree.
So
some people, they were talking about this degree. I asked him why.
So when I first enrolled in this degree, I did not had a clear view of what it has to offer. I just had the background information that it is a niche of international relations. When I was enrolled there and I studied, I came to know that this degree involves an overview and a encompassing type of nature that IR does not simply have. IR is a very vast field. It connects many different strands of thoughts from all over the globe. Defense and strategic studies basically involves understanding the prime structural causes, the institutional deficiencies, and overall strategic narratives that are built around certain issues and challenges. And my motivation has been for this degree has been due to the conditions over in Balochistan. I wanted to know what are the reasons, what are the issues that that cause war or cause instability in a region or a province, and how we can counter these kind of things and issues through knowledge and practical steps. So yes, I am trying to tell people that this degree involves a very diverse standing in overall social sciences environment, and people are going and coming here after, I think 2 or 3 were there after me, and I think it has now grown up to 15 to 16 from simply from Balochistan. In my time, we were 2 people studying there.
Can you enlighten us about the concept of deep state? What is deep state? We keep on listening again and again.
So deep state basically, as a term, it involves the institutions, the people, and the players in a state that do not change with time. They are a permanent feature of a state. Basically, these are the actors that influence the overall outlook of a state in its foreign policy and its strategic concerns. So it may involve organizations, it may involve people, it may involve certain high-ranking officials, but overall it is a concept that defines the permanence of the strategic interest that a state has. So for me, and in my understanding, the deep state is not a vague concept. It basically comprises of these solitary or actors that work together for a certain interest that is above their understanding and that is above their political interests and totally concerned with the simple agendas of securing the state and its borders, or having an outlook that involves showcasing the strengths of a state to other countries and states.
Okay, then you also tell me about a strategic depth, which is always claimed by the state of Pakistan. We want strategic depth. What is this strategic depth?
So basically, this concept is a geographic concept. It involves that because Pakistan is surrounded by different actors that are hostile to its interests and boundaries. So, and as a state, we do not possess a very wide scope. If I can guess, sir, the most wide that the width we have, I think it's 1,000 kilometers or 1,500 kilometers. That is the overall width at the maximum point of the geography that we have, because it is a very elongated landscape and we do not have a kind of a wide structure of geography that can help us, like Russia. So the issue is basically this: the concept of strategic depth came with the nuclear outgrowth in the region. When India and Pakistan made their nuclear bombs, it was assumed that the credible minimum deterrence comes from having a second strike capability. And for second strike capability, one has to possess the capability of absorbing the first strike. And for that, we wanted to have a kind of elongated width, so that if at any time we are attacked by a nuclear weapon, we can retaliate, we can absorb it, and we can retaliate. So strategic depth basically involves this width concept and this geographic and having this geographic vastness around Pakistan. So it cannot be surrounded or have a strategic weakness. This is the concept, if I have explained it clearly, sir.
Thank you very much. I will leave, please.
There is A and B area in Balochistan. So how do you see this in terms of governance of the state of the province of Balochistan? Do you think it is easy to govern in this arrangement, or let's say if it is the entire area is notified as area, will that be a better opportunity? Will provide better opportunity to the administrators to govern the province of this?
So the A and B areas, the concept is basically because of the levies and police system. As in the recent governments and the other, I have read that in the Musharraf time it was all declared as A area, and if I can quote you correctly, it involved billions of rupees for all the infrastructure and developing all the force structures over there. The issue is basically that of the conditions of the province. If it was a simple issue of community policing and just going after criminals and tackling the investigations, police would have had a very grand role in it. But as the issue involves not just of the policing structures, it also involves having a close community ties and having these because it is very disturbed, and the people who are involved basically in insurgency or criminal activities, they both go hand in hand. So the police, if they apprehend somebody who is involved in the other kind of activities, subversive activities, they have to give him back or give the perpetrator back to some other agencies. So as a role, as an institution, the role of police gets very limited. Similarly, levies, they do apprehend it, but they try to solve the issue on their own level or at the level of tribal elders. This also, has that balancing kind of thing over the perpetrator, that he has to come to the fold again, he has to leave all these activities. In my opinion, if the current scenario continues, we have to gradually change the overall province into the A area, because police as an institution can work very well. Levies had worked, levies is working, but it does not possess the kind of abilities that police as an institution has.
Okay. How do you see the current political unrest in Balochistan?
So I had written a paper on this, and it also got published in NUST Journal of International Peace and Security Studies. I tried to understand the concept of nationalism and its perceptive understanding into the masses, whether it involves, whether the people over there have a very attached kind of notion with the concept of nationalism and political unrest. But in my studies, I found that it is a very vague concept, and the reasons at hand basically involves a developmental perspective. It is a very infrastructure-hungry province. The per capita development expenditure and the services it provides to people is very low. For example, if a school in Punjab can cater to the needs of 1,000 people, a school in Balochistan will most probably cater to the needs of 10 to 15 people. And it requires that 100 or 200 schools may be built.
Try to be precise.
So,
how do you see the insurgency which is going on in Balochistan? Do you think it is justified? Do you think it has been foisted on the people on those who are doing it? They have been forced to do it. What do you think about it?
So I think the political conditions over there certainly have a role to play in the insurgency. But saying that it is a very black and white type of condition, that whether this thing has happened and it has led to this, is very complicated. It cannot be said that this thing led to this. If I can connect to my earlier argument, if we can have a development mechanism and can cater to the needs of people, I think that it will lessen the overall extremism in the region and province especially.
Okay. You said going on excursions in countryside in Balochistan.
So,
what can you tell us about the Chapar Rift?
Sir, Chapar Rift is basically the area between Sibi and Harnai. It used to have a railway line over there, and it was built by the English to, I think, carry their troops and goods over to the Afghanistan side. It is a very scenic kind of view because it is built upon a rift over 2 to 3 big rocks, and it has now gone into obliteration, but it used to have a very good view when you would have passed from over the train over there.
How has globalization affected the global scene?
So globalization has affected positively as well as negatively. If we can go on to count its positives, we have the connectivity, the social media, the overall expense of services and products that are being offered to every person and every community in the world. It also involves having a consensus-based interaction between different states and organizations. There has also been a kind of misinformation scenario where a bad news or if you can say a misinformation travels very fastly around the world, and it shapes the narratives of people. It also builds up their biases and also so.
You are a student of Defense and Strategic Studies.
Yes, ma'am.
Could you share your views on if wars are good or bad?
Wars, if we go on to the moral side, it is always bad. But it is a very ugly necessity that we have to cater to. Wars have been prevalent in the history. Wars will be prevalent in the future. What we can do is try to understand whether the moral connotations that we ascribe to war are good or are okay to be with, or should we even ascribe anything moral to these wars and all that. So I think that ascribing morality to war in itself is a very complicated question, and one cannot clearly say that whether war is good or bad, because if we see that from Islamic history, the war between Hazrat Imam Hussain and Yazid, we can say that the war was good because it was being fought on the just reasons and moral reasons. But if we view the same in the context of wars of annexation of Napoleon and the European colonial system, then we can easily say that it is a very bad thing to have wars and kill people. So I think the reasons for which war is fought can be good or can be bad.
Thank you. The situation in Afghanistan. What is your view on the future? Do you think Taliban will be able to have a national reconciliation and have an inclusive government?
As their actions and their intentions signify that they have changed from the earlier experience of their government, because it is very early to say whether it would be a kind of stable government or inclusive government, but the current intentions and the actions that Taliban government is taking is certainly into the direction of having an inclusive and stable government in Afghanistan. The reasons also include the international community and the Pakistani state that are recommending and advising the Afghan Taliban regime to be soft, to have a generally kind of a polite nature. So I think that in the future, if the structural issues persist, it can easily descend into chaos. But for the time being, the actions signify that they are going to have a very kind of stable and inclusive government in Afghanistan in the near future.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Raisani, since you're from Balochistan, so it's in the fitness of things to ask you your perspective. How do you see CPEC from a Baloch perspective?
Sir, CPEC has certainly come with its issues and its reasons for hating. But as I said earlier, that the developmental issue that Balochistan faces, it has been a very great boon for the people. Because right now the construction of roads and the network highways that is being undertaken involves the regions which are greatly affected by insurgency and the political unrest, like the Awaran Hushab road. It goes into the heartland of this insurgency-driven districts, and also the development of Gawadar on a grand scale includes having the kind of institutions and the infrastructure needed for developing the human resource and the education facilities of the region. It certainly involves a certain disinterest because it is the lack of confidence of state over there. But I think in the longer run, it will help out and it will cater to the needs of province in a very great way.
So you're happy and satisfied with it?
I am happy and satisfied with it.
Okay. Since you are young, you're from Balochistan, your degree pertains to that area. Next Chief Minister is Mr. Raisani, you of Balochistan. What would be your top 5 priorities for Balochistan, keeping it into the federation and developing it further? Top 5.
Sir, certainly education. Education is the biggest need and it is the biggest challenge for the province over there. Secondly, healthcare is also centralized into the urban centers of province. We need to have a very kind of devolved status of healthcare facilities and institutions in the province. Thirdly, sir, law and order, but it should be through the indigenous and the institutional way. We should develop our police, even if it comprises of the provincial police and the federal PSP, into a very integrated kind of institution that also has the ability to counter the law and order situation, the terrorism activities, and mostly it should have an outlook of confidence building. It should try to inculcate this kind of confidence into the people. This would be my third priority. Fourth would be development in every possible way, if I had the source and the funding for it. And lastly, sir, connecting it to the other people, parts of province culturally. It is a very neglected area. We are in a very insular kind of thing in the province. We need to have a very cultural exchange type of mechanism over there, where we can have people coming there and people going into Punjab and have a kind of cultural assimilation going on. So these would be my 5 top most priorities if I were the Chief Minister in the province.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Let's conclude this formal session. Let's go for the debriefing session. And this is a free discussion. You can ask question if you like, and we have got our observation which we would like to convey you.
So, just your opinion.
How do you feel? How you have performed in this interview?
Sir, I think it is good, but I need to work on the mechanism of giving my answers. I sort of went on a long train of thought there, so I think I should compose myself and my answers into a structured kind of way, and should also prepare more about the province in general and the institutions in specifically. So this has been my view, sir.
Raisani, you are very good. Let me tell you very frankly. You are very good. You are, mashallah, intelligent. And you are composed and stable. Your personality creates good impact. Communication skills, you have got good communication skill. You are articulate and your voice impact is very reasonably good. Your posture is very good when you are sitting, and your knowledge base is quite strong when we compare with others. But still you're competing with the giants. Now, in my view, you can be in the first 10 people who are going to make in the merit in whole of Pakistan. You could be one of them if you just listen what we are going to say. You have rightly pointed out that you need to structure your answers. So what I will propose you do, first you try to structure your introduction. It is good, reasonably good. But if you keep whatsoever you have said to us, you just write it down and then just see what is missing and then structure it for 1 minute and 1.5 minute. That would be a sort of a structure. Usko rehearse karo. Then when you speak with focused approach. 1, 2, 3, 4 point I am all covering. ठीक है? एक तो ये कर लो. You appears to be in state of preparedness. तुम्हारा थोड़ा सा एनर्जी लेवल इम्प्रूव करो. अभी मतलब वो तुम्हारी टोन जो है ना वो एक ही चल रही है, थोड़ी सी इसमें इम्प्रूवमेंट करो, उससे तुम्हारा इम्पैक्ट और अच्छा हो जाएगा. ठीक है. और जब स्ट्रक्चर्ड आंसर देने होते हैं तो इंटरव्यू की जो स्ट्रेटजी होती है इट इज़ डिफरेंट देन व्हाट यू हैव बीन डूइंग इन द पास्ट. तो इंटरव्यू की स्ट्रेटजी के लिए तुम्हें ये एक नोटबुक बनाओ ऐसी. ठीक है ना. हर पेज पे हेडिंग लिखो और 5-6 पॉइंट जो उसके पंच लाइन्स होते हैं जिनको हम कहते हैं या बुलेट पॉइंट है 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 करके लिख लो. IMF टाक है, वाशिंगटन में क्यों फेल हो रही है, ग्रे लिस्ट वाला इशू है, अफगानिस्तान है, चाइना US है, साउथ चाइना इश्यूज हैं, पैलेस्टीन है, एवरीथिंग व्हाटसोएवर यू थिंक उन पे लिख लो. तो उसको जब पढ़ोगे तो फिर इंस्टेड ऑफ गोइंग इन अ लेंथी वे तो यू विल बी एबल टू फोकस ऑन 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 पॉइंट्स. तो दैट शुड बी द आंसर बिकॉज वहाँ अब ये कन्वर्सेशन हो रही है बिटवीन यू एंड अस. तो हम टाइम कंस्टेंट है एंड यू हैव टू परफॉर्म, यू हैव टू शोकेस. तो यू आर ट्राइंग टू सेल योर सेल्फ टू द कमीशन. ठीक है, मेंबर्स ऑफ द कमीशन. तो ठीक है, थोड़ी सी ये जब इम्प्रूवमेंट कर लो जाएगा तो यू आर गोइंग टू बीट लॉट मैनी. ठीक है. दिस इज माय एडवाइस फॉर यू. ये स्ट्रक्चर करो, अपना थोड़ा सा फोकस्ड अप्रोच रखो.
मैं भी यही कहूँगा, थोड़ा सा ग्लूमी लुक है आपकी. इसको जब आप शीशे में आप देखेंगे ना, थोड़ा सा स्माइल लाने की कोशिश करो.
जरूर सर.
अदरवाइज your performance was very good. इसमें जो है और जो है यू कैन विद द एडवाइस जो दुरानी साहब ने दी और जो मैंने कहा, इसको थोड़ा सा अपना एनर्जी लेवल आप ठीक करेंगे और अपनी प्रेजेंटेशन जो है ना ये आपको ठीक करेंगे, उसमें जो है ये जो एक ग्लूमीनेस का एक जाता है, ये नहीं आना चाहिए. ठीक है. इसको अगर शीशे के सामने खड़े पे ठीक करें. शाबाश.
Beta, you have good knowledge, but when you're giving a response, you should not contradict yourself. अब जिस तरह दुरानी साहब ने आपसे पूछा what is strategic depth, you said that it's a geographic concept, but then you included nuclear in it. Nuclear is not a geographic concept. That's a strategic concept. ठीक है. और जो जियोग्राफिक डेप्थ की बात करें या स्ट्रेटेजिक डेप्थ की बात करें, वो न्यूक्लियर टेस्ट से पहले भी थी, है कि नहीं? तो यू आर कंट्रडिक्टिंग योरसेल्फ कि एक तरफ आपने कहा कि इट्स अ जियोग्राफिक कॉन्सेप्ट एंड देन यू आर पुटिंग इन न्यूक्लियर. तो जैसे कहा गया, स्ट्रक्चर योर रिस्पॉन्स वेयर यू आर नॉट सीन एज कंट्रडिक्टिंग योरसेल्फ. ठीक है. फिर जैसा आई आस्क्ड यू, आर वॉर्स गुड और बैड? तो एक तरफ तो बात सही है कि वॉर्स होती रहेंगी, हुई है. तो उसमें मोरालिटी को आप जो लाए हैं, जो भी वॉरियर होता है वो मोरालिटी ही लाता है. अमेरिकन्स भी जो है अफगानिस्तान में बड़े कारनामे करने गए थे. ठीक है. लेकिन एक्चुअल क्या रीजंस थी, यू वुड नो बेटर. ठीक है. सो व्हेन यू आर answering in a more analytical way rather than in a bland way, तो मोनोटोन जो है आपकी वॉइस में, एक तो वो चीज़ है. दूसरा लैक ऑफ स्ट्रक्चर एंड ड्रैगिंग जो आपने सही कहा. और तीसरा ये कि आप अपने आप को कंट्रडिक्ट ना करो. जो आपने एक थीम ली है फिर फॉलो इट थ्रू एंड जस्टिफाई इट. और उसके लिए यू हैव टू बी मेंटली प्रिपेयर्ड कि ये क्या सवाल है और इसमें किस तरह से जवाब दें. थैंक यू.
जी रईसानी साहब, पर्सनल ग्रूमिंग पे थोड़ा सा काम कर लें, हेयर कट वगैरह. और बलूचिस्तान से रिलेटेड आपके ऊपर ज़्यादा सवाल होंगे, बी प्रिपेयर्ड फॉर इट। बाकी सीनियर्स ने बिल्कुल आपको सारा कंप्लीटली बता दिया। थैंक यू।
ठीक है रईसानी, देखो बात यह है कि अभी हम अब तुम्हें बलूचिस्तान के जो है ना प्रोविंस से बाहर निकाल दिया है हमने।
जी हाँ सर।
अब यू आर कम्पीटिंग इन होल ऑफ द कंट्री,
सर
ठीक है ना। तो वो इंशाल्लाह वो दैट यू नीड नॉट वरी, बलूचिस्तान का कोटा तुम्हारा सेफ है। नाउ यू आर कम्पीटिंग इन समबडी एल्स, तो वहाँ जो है ना वो यू नीड टू प्रिपेयर योरसेल्फ। इंशाल्लाह यू विल मेक वेरी गुड मार्क्स टुडे। फॉर टुडे एट दिस मोमेंट एंड फॉर द लास्ट 45 मिनट्स हम तुम्हें दे रहे हैं 200 और 220 की रेंज में आउट ऑफ 300।
सर
200 और 220 की रेंज में तुम हो इस वक्त, ठीक है ना। बट यू नीड टू इम्प्रूव, यू नीड टू गो टू 240।
सर
If you are going to make 240, तो rest assured कि you are going to beat lot many people, and I will be very happy if you beat. ठीक है, best of luck. Thank you very much.
Thank you sir.